Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Ajua. So this video was inspired by the recently launched Teriyaki Intense by Lattafa, which is a flanker to the OG Teriyaki, and it sort of begs the question whether you need all these flankers coming after the OGs. In the case of flankers, they're supposed to sort of remind you of the DNA of the original one, but when it comes to Middle Eastern fragrances, that is not necessarily the case. In my experience, having a lot of these Middle Eastern original and flankers, most of them do not really follow suit having the DNA of the original one that they release, because they are dupes, so you could have one coming as a dupe of, let's say, YSL Black Opium, and then the flanker is going to give you Blanche Bet, and the next flanker is going to give you, Lanway Tresor. So when it comes to Middle Eastern flankers, you're not promised of getting anything in the likeness of the original one, but in designer and niche fragrances, that is usually the case. You get something that will remind you of the original one, but with a twist. In this video, I'm going to give you, based on my experience and what I have in my collection, flankers and original creations, or not original creations, but original versus flankers of these Middle Eastern fragrances that I have in my collection. The question is, do you need all of them? Do you need just the original or the flanker, or you need both? I'm going to start off this list with the OG Teriyaki and the newly released Teriyaki Intense by Lattafa. These are definitely not the same to me. They don't smell remotely close to my nose, at least to my nose. I don't find traces of the OG in the Intense version. This is just the plum liqueur, the jasmine, the bergamot. It's more citrusy, there's a freshness to it with the bergamot that I find, and it is non-existent in this. There's going to be your apricot, your almond, your suede leather accord. That is essentially what this one is, with some vanilla. Whereas this, I don't get much of any vanilla. It is just like the plum liqueur, the sweetness, and then a bit of a freshness to it. It has a fresh, slightly soapy nuance that I get in this. They are not the same to me at all. Do you need both of these in your collection? Yes, I do. I do believe you need both, just because they don't smell alike in any way. They don't smell alike in any way. Some flankers could be so close that you don't need both. But in the case of Teriyaki and Teriyaki Intense, I think they are so different that you would appreciate each of them for what they are. They serve like a time and a purpose. I think they are both like super dressed up, fragrances. I don't see them as, just ordinary casual wear, although you can do whatever you want with the fragrances, but I feel they have some depth and some intensity to them that they are, I consider them like more dressed up, so I think you will need both. You don't need both, but you can have both in your collection, and they're going to serve you different occasions and purposes. The next pair I have here, I'm going to do everything without the fragrances, just to speed up this video. The next pair I'm going to talk about is going to be the Madawi and the Madawi Gold, from Arabian Oud. So Madawi is supposed to be this Middle Eastern fruit chili with the peach, the apple blossom, whilst the Madawi not intense, the gold version is a different take on it altogether. The OG one is less sweet with the peach, and the patchouli is a fruit chili, and then the new one is going to give you a more fun pineapple blossom and some vanilla. They are entirely different. They don't smell alike to me. They don't really come across as flankers for the most part. They smell like they could be like standalone fragrances, but one is the OG Madawi and the other one is the Madawi Gold. I think you can own both. They serve like different purposes. The OG Madawi feels like a bit more unisex to my nose, whilst the Madawi Intense, Madawi Gold feels like slightly feminine to me, although they are both like super unisex fragrances. So I think in the case of Madawi and Madawi Gold, you can own both. They don't come across as clashing or super close, just like the Teriyaki and Teriyaki Intense. The next pair I have here are going to be the Bade'e Al Oud line. That is a classic case of a fragrance line that is like completely different. You don't smell alike in any way. You have the OG Oud for Glory giving you Oud for Greatness. You have the Amethyst giving you a different take on Atomic Rose. It's like a Middle Eastern barnyardy take on Atomic Rose. You have the Sublime, which is like Kiali Hidden Juicy Apple, and then the latest release that is going to be the Noble Blush, you know. These are all different takes. They don't smell alike in any way. So in this case, I think you can own all of them, you know, because they don't smell alike in any way. You can own all of them. You don't need them, you know, but they are just nice to have. All of them are nice to have, including the you know, the Noble Blush, you know. But I don't think they come across as, you know, taking traces from each other. The original one being the Oud for Glory. No, they don't smell alike in any way. So I think when it comes to the Bade'e Al Oud line, you can enjoy them, you know, for different occasions, you know, depending on your mood, you know, and the outfit and everything. But they don't smell alike in any way. The next one I'm going to talk about is going to be the OG Khamrah and then Khamrah Kawa. These two were sort of had a mixed reaction when the Khamrah Kawa was released. A lot of people were like, no, it's overly you know, similar to the OG Khamrah. And I remember mentioning, you know, I did like 2 videos to just inform my audience that you could have both because the Khamrah Kawa was quite different. Maceration has, you know, solidified this to me. OG Khamrah is different, you know, with the dates and then the, you know, the honeyed, you know, sort of, you know, apple pie noirs. And then the Khamrah Kawa is going to give you something a little more, you know, sexy with more of a sweetness to it, you know, with that spiced kawa, you know. And it's different. It's a different take to me that you can own like both of them. In as much as that particular one, the Khamrah and Khamrah Kawa took like sort of, you know, inspiration from the OG one. That is a classic case where you can find traces of the original one in the flanker, you know, and I think it was beautifully done, but it still has like a different direction altogether. The Khamrah could be for the day date, you know, and then the Khamrah Kawa could be like the night date version, you know. So I think you can have both of those, you know, fragrances, the Khamrah and then Khamrah Kawa. You can have both of them and to serve different purposes. I'm going to go with the OG Asad and then Asad Zanzibar. In this case, they are also entirely different, you know, entirely different fragrances. Asad is giving you Dior Sauvage Elixir, you know, I like, you know, inspired by. And then Zanzibar, I'm not sure what it is inspired by, but I think Zanzibar gives me like I think they were going for like a suntan lotion vibes, you know, for men, you know, something like that, like the coconutty, you know, floral, you know. It doesn't give me anything remotely Asad. It doesn't remind me of the OG Asad, you know. It's like a different fragrance altogether. It is not my favorite Zanzibar, you know. My favorite amongst the two is going to be the OG Asad, you know, that I highly recommend. You know, I would definitely highly recommend even till this day. Zanzibar, I'm not sure I would really want to recommend that, you know, but if you really just want to have the experience, you can have both, you know, and they are going to serve you different purposes. I'm going to go with the Qaed Al Fursan and then the OG Qaed, you know, Al Fursan and then Qaed Al Fursan Unlimited. These are flankers which do not really smell alike, you know. I have owned the OG Qaed Al Fursan, the pineapple, the smoky pineapple, you know, one which I believe took inspiration from Nishane's Hativat, you know, that smoky pineapple, musky fruity scent, but it failed to nail it, you know. It's sort of, you know, a different scent altogether. It follows the Hativat, the Qaed Aventis for him, you know, DNA, but it sort of feels different. Whereas the Qaed Al Fursan Unlimited is like the more coconutty, floral, milky, you know, lactonic sort of take, you know. It's a suntan lotion, you know, sort of vibe. They don't smell alike in any way. You can have both of them, you know, because they don't smell alike. You can have both, although Qaed Al Fursan Unlimited is one I've never gravitated towards. I personally do not like that, so I personally have never recommended that on my channel, you know. So yeah, you can have both. Then I go to the Kissa line from Paris Corner. We have the OG Kissa, you know, you have the Kissa Pink, the Kissa Blue, and then Kissa Delicious. These three are also entirely different. Kissa Pink is not a favorite. I'm not a fan of that. The Yara, you know, DNA, but I think I prefer Yara over Kissa Pink. When it comes to the Kissa Blue, I love that, you know. It sort of reminds me of, you know, a bit of nostalgic expression, you know, with more, I think, with more lime, you know, bergamot, you know, touches. It gives me a very similar nostalgic expression feel, you know, it's a freshie, you know, a simple freshie, which is very affordable. So I like that, you know. And then the Kissa Delicious, which obviously is my favorite, you know, with the dark chocolate, the vanilla, the sort of marshmallowy feel to it. It is very beautiful. They are entirely different that you can own the three, you know, but I would personally not, I don't like Kissa pink, you know. There's something about it that I would rather Yara, which is not a favorite, but I would rather Yara than Kissa pink, you know. But I think the blue is good, and then the delicious is obviously my favorite. I'm going to go with the Mouth, you know, line. The Mouth line from Paris Corner. Under that, we have the Mouth Apletini, we have the Mouth Cognac, and then we have the Moscow Mule. I have all three. The Moscow Mule, I have like a 10 ml decant. I love them all. These are amazing fragrances, giving you like different directions altogether. I think they are all coming from the Killing liqueur line. You know, it gives me they give me that, you know, Killian liqueur line. I think that is where the inspiration came from. So what they have in common is going to be the boozy, you know, nuance, the boozy nuance that they share in common. Aside that, they sort of, you know, take different directions, you know, with the Mouth Apletini being like apple boozy, the cognac is not, doesn't give me angel share. Personally, it doesn't give me angel share, it doesn't give me Khamrah, it doesn't give me boozy, you know. It's a very beautiful green coffee scent, you know. And then the Moscow Mule is going to give you like a, I think whiskey, you know, whiskey fresh, you know, like a fresh spice whiskey sort of, you know, feel. And that is going to be the Moscow Mule, you know. They are entirely different. They sort of give me a more masculine vibes, especially the cognac, the Apletini, and then Moscow Mule. The cognac blaze is like more unisex to me, but those two give me a more masculine vibe. I think you can own three of them. They smell entirely different. You can own all three because they are dupes of different fragrances, you know, and I think you can own both. They don't come across as flankers that took inspiration from the original, you know, or from the first, you know, drop, you know. So yes, when it comes to that, you can actually do that. Then we come to the Junoon line, which are the original Junoon, the Junoon Noir, the Junoon Rose, and then the Junoon Oud. You know, there are 4 in them. I have not tried the OG Junoon, so I'll not be able to speak to that. However, when it comes to the Junoon Noir, the Rose, and the Oud, they are different. One is taking inspiration from an Amouage fragrance, I think Blossom Love for the Junoon Rose. The Noir is taking from inspiration from the Mabianca, and the Oud is taking inspiration from Afternoon Swim. No, Bulgari's Tiger, you know. So entirely different, you know, note structures that you can enjoy all three without them being redundant, you know. They are not redundant, they don't smell alike, you know. They are different takes on different, you know, fragrances altogether. Then I'm going to go with Berry's Weekend and Berry's Weekend Pink Edition, and then the Berry's Weekend Violet Edition. I think the Violet Edition was never, you know, popularized, you know, just because it is not as good as the OG Pink Edition to my nose. I love the Pink Edition. The Violet Edition came after that, you know, and it's sort of, you know, a generic fruity floral one that wanted to take suit, you know, like a follow. That I can say it took inspiration from the Weekend Berry, because you can see that same fruity floral, you know, sweet girly fun one. But I think the Berry's Weekend is more rich and resonant and intense. And although Berry's Weekend, the Violet one, you can see the inspiration it took from that, you know, that sort of generic, you know, girly fun floral fruity one. It sort of lacked the you know, the depth and the sweetness that I get in the Berry's Weekend. So personally, I prefer the Berry's Weekend OG to the Violet Edition. But I mean, they are both different scents, you know, they are both different scents that you can own both. But I would personally just recommend the OG Pink Edition. Then I come to a fragrance. Let me go with Ragba, you know, the OG Ragba, and then Ragba Wood Intense by Lattafa. I've owned both in my collection and have since decluttered the OG Ragba. Yes, you can see the inspiration that, you know, the Ragba Wood Intense took from the OG Ragba. When it comes to the vanilla, it took that same vanilla but added more spice and the licorice, you know, and the smoke to the Ragba Wood Intense, making it much more enjoyable and much more spicy and much more wearable, as opposed to the OG Ragba, which to me was a feel to my nose, you know, to me was quite a feel, you know, with the experience I got from it, you know, coupled with what others also have shared, you know, when it comes to the OG Ragba. But there's definitely that same vanilla that the OG, you know, the Ragba with Intense borrowed from, you know, from the OG. That same vanilla is there. You can see the resemblance, but there's the addition of that, the spice, the licorice, you know, the smokiness, the sugary, you know, sweetness in the Ragba with Intense makes it different, you know, to me. And I prefer a Ragba with Intense to the OG Ragba. Then I'm going to go with a designer fragrance, Burberry Goddess, and then Burberry Goddess Intense. I have enjoyed my Burberry Goddess Intense. I have this test that I have, you know, I'm almost through with that, and I have another one that I think I'll be utilizing very soon. And then the OG Burberry Goddess, which I have in the form of, you know, Angam and Athena, you know, I have those two, so technically like Goddess, you know, but those two to me are very different, you know. I don't see much of the resemblance, you know, from the OG Burberry Goddess in the Burberry Goddess Intense. I don't see much. They are all like supposed to be vanilla, you know, vanilla and then lavender, you know, scent. But I think the Goddess has more of a patchouli, you know, touch to it. The patchouli feels a lot more intense. The lavender feels a lot more intense, and the vanilla here feels a lot more thick and, you know, rich and resonance in the Burberry Goddess Intense than the OG Burberry Goddess. Surprisingly, maybe this will be an unpopular, you know, an unpopular opinion, but I think I prefer Burberry Goddess Intense to the Goddess, you know, the OG Goddess. I enjoy both of them. Don't get me wrong, you know, I really enjoy the Burberry Goddess, you know, dupes that I have from Lattafa and Khamrah. But I think there's something about the Intense that is like a different notch. It's like a little more matured, you know, it gives me a little more matured over the Burberry Goddess, you know, and a little more rich. It's a little more rich, you know, to me, and I think I prefer this over that, you know. But let's get back to the question of the day. Do you need both? I think you would appreciate both, you know, in different scenarios, you know. You appreciate both in different scenarios. They don't necessarily remind me exactly of each other, you know. They don't really give me the same exact vibes, you know, although you can get that same lavender vanilla, you know, nuances in both of them. I think that the Intense one feels a lot more thicker and much resonant and you know, much more matured than the OG Burberry Goddess, you know. So I think those ones you can have both. Then I'm going to go with the house as a Fursan, Bint Hooran, and then Bint Hooran Rose Passion. They are also different, like entirely different scent profile. We have the Bint Hooran going after the Carolina Herrera Good Girl, and then we have the Bint Hooran Rose Passion going after the Yara Candy. So they are different, you know, takes like all together. They don't follow each other. They don't follow like suit when it comes to like the scent profile of the original Bint Hooran. Entirely different. I love them both, you know. I like the Rose Passion for its simplistic, you know, fruity girly fun, you know, approach, and then the OG Bint Hooran for it, you know, chocolatey praline, Carolina Herrera, you know, vanilla, like the plethora of notes, that beautiful one. I think you can have both of them, you know. You can have both of them in your collection, you know. One can be for your playful, fun, you know, everyday one. One can be for your more dressed up, you know, date night sort of, you know, vibe. So those are two that are completely different. I think you can own both. And then I go on to Ajwad, and then Ajwad Pink to Pink by Lattafa. I think Ajwad is like a take on Roses Vanille, and then Pink to Pink is a take on Oud Maracuja. Different takes, you know, all together, different scent profile all together. They are flankers, Middle Eastern flankers that do not smell alike, you know. So in that case, you can own both, you know, although they both, I think Ajwad and then Pink to Pink are quite polarizing, you know. They all have like things that a lot of people do not appreciate, with Pink to Pink being that, you know, that oud and the heavy guava lychee that a lot of people find a little too much, and the Pink to Pink has that, you know, metallic nuance in addition to the roses and the vanillas and the fruits that people do not, appreciate. So to me, I love them both. They come across as more matured, more complex, takes on those two original fragrances, and I love them both. I think I'm going to go with which one? Let me just look at which ones I have not spoken about yet. I'm going to go with the Yara line. That is like a different take on different fragrances. The Yara Candy, the OG Yara, the Yara Moi, the Yara choose different fragrances all together. As I mean, all of us are aware now. You can own all of them. I think some of them are really not necessary to have. They are nice to have, but they are not necessary to own. So yeah, you can have all of them. And I'm going to go with the last one here. That is going to be Arabian Oud, and then Arabian Oud Intense by Lattafa. Honestly, I've tried that Arabian Oud, the OG, just once, in passing. When you go to the shops in Middle Eastern shops, they are there. In Accra, Makola, they are there. I guess pretty, it's a sweet, if my memory serves me right, it's just a sweet, woody, spicy sort of thing. I don't vividly remember, how that smells, because I guess tried it in passing. But what I can remember is that the Arabian Oud Intense definitely is a better, option as opposed to the OG Arabian Oud. That I don't also see a lot of, resemblance between the OG Arabian Oud and then the Intense. I think the Intense is a different take, altogether, whilst the OG is also a different take altogether. My preference is definitely the Arabian Oud Intense by Lattafa, but I don't see much of a resemblance between those two, So if you want to try something affordable, maybe you can try that, the OG Arabian Oud. But I although I don't vividly remember how it is, I know I prefer the Intense version over that, the OG Arabian, yeah. So there are a lot of these fragrances and their flankers. There are lots of them, but these are the ones that I have, or I have owned, and since decluttered, have come across, and just wanted to bring to attention. Do you need all of them? In most cases, when it comes to Middle Eastern flankers, they seem to be very different from each other. You end up having all of them, but some of them are very unnecessary, in my opinion. Whereas when it comes to designer and niche fragrances, when they say flanker, you can really get resemblance of the OG DNA in some of the actual flankers. So yeah, I think that is what I have for you today, when it comes to this topic, and I hope this video found you well. Please do not forget to give this video a thumbs up, and I hope to see you in my next one. Take care. Bye bye.